My name is Josh Brunt. I'm here to give my presentation. Can you guys think of a time when you set a goal for yourself that you knew that if you did it, it would drastically change your life? And just forgot it a week later? Ponder on that. Think about a time when you have done that and a week later it just skips your mind, you forget about it, and it never comes to pass. I'll give you a second. You have that? Okay, cool. So with that in mind, I want us to realize about the power of our own mind and the greatest asset that we have that many of us do not even know how to control. So I want to inform you guys on the purpose of this presentation, which is the philosophy of personal achievement, which was research written by Napoleon Hill, who's a best-selling author in the self-help industry, who studied this intensely. So first things first, he talks about how the power of our mind is crazy, in the aspect of that the thoughts that we have are directly correlated with our current situations. So how our lives are is a direct fruit of the thoughts that we have and the desires as well. That's what's so crucial about the power of our minds, is that we need to learn to harness them. And we need to learn to proactively put thoughts into our heads that go along with what we want. So think about it like this. A student who is an A+ student has those grades for one reason. Because he or she has the desire to go about and do the actions and has the thoughts of getting an A+ grade. Whereas a drug addict might be more involved in thinking about drugs than his grades. So if we take this to the example of a loving parent as well, right? A mother, her thoughts are consumed by her kids. Her desires are to help her kids, and so that's her life. She wants to have babies. She wants to raise a family because those are her thoughts. Those are her desires. And so there is a way to be able to lift up our desires, fuel them into thoughts, and then translate those thoughts into reality to achieve personal achievement of whatever you want. So that is the power of our own mind, of thoughts and desire. And we need to be proactive and predetermine the correct thoughts to put into our minds so that our lives become what we want them to become. So that leads me into my second point, power of faith. Once we have pondered about what is important to us in life, then we must determine which of these two doors we will go down. The first door, starting with fear. Fear is a principle of inaction. Whenever we have a desire and a thought comes to our brains and it goes down the path of fear, there is no action. That's key to understand. For example, let's say you're going to go ask a girl out, right? Well, you have that thought in your mind. It's created in your mind, but is it going to be created in the real world, in reality? That depends on if you follow the faith pattern or if you follow the fear pattern. If you follow the fear pattern, it's not going to happen. For fear of criticism, for fear of the opinion of others, fear of failure, whatever it is, it's just not going to happen. And so your life isn't going to change. And so fear traps us. Whereas faith opens doors. It lights up our world. Faith creates success. It creates energy and life. It creates change into our life. And that's what's so important about it. Is if we can learn to act and fall into faith, then we can actually start translating these thoughts into reality. Okay? Which leads me into my third point of creating that desire, to whereas your why becomes so important that those fears don't even harm you anymore. So the power of predetermined thought. So normally we use our conscious mind. That's where we normally operate. But the fear and the faith operate down here in the subconscious mind, where sometimes we don't even realize what they're doing down there. So sometimes we need to go down, find our fears, conquer them, and move into the realm of faith. Now, the way to do that is to actually follow this idea of a predetermined thought, of thinking, what is it that you actually want? And why? What's your definiteness of purpose? What's your purpose in acquiring that desire, right? So by writing down that desire as a thought on a page and repeating that to yourself, you're actually very capable of convincing your subconscious mind of that belief. But it can't just be once. You need to repeat that phrase or that paragraph or that page day in and day out, morning and night, at least twice a day. And by doing that, we actually can convince our subconscious mind to think the desires and the thoughts that we want. And then as we do that, plans will be revealed unto us through our subconscious mind, and we will be able to translate those thoughts into reality through faith. So as you can see, our desires translate into our thoughts, and our thoughts into reality through plans of action, which are applied by the principle of faith. So that's important. An example of this story comes from Edward C. Barnes. He was a man in the 1930s who wanted to become Thomas Edison's business partner. So what did he do? Well, his purpose was to become Thomas Edison's partner, but he didn't know exactly how to do it. So he actually went out, traveled across various states to get to where Thomas Edison lived, hopped off the train, and just did his best. But that desire in him was so powerful, it became an obsession for him. And lo and behold, as he worked at it and talked with Edison, he was able to become his partner through definite plans of action that were revealed to him because he went through this process. So this is a summary of personal achievement. And the key point behind it is the definiteness of purpose. That why is so important. We need to know why we're doing what we're doing in order to be able to translate those desires into thoughts and translate the thoughts into action or into reality. So this is super critical if we want to become successful people who actually change the world and create better lives for other people. Now, obviously, you guys can take this to how you want it to be, but my purpose in this was to inform you guys of the power of your own mind, to really take time to just to know that our greatest asset is within us. That we don't need to be looking outward or out there for money or for other people to help us. But we can do it ourselves through our own minds. That's powerful stuff. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Thank you for listening.